Okay, so in this video I'm going to try to describe what a JavaScript constructor is. So a constructor is basically the blueprint or the function that generates an object for you. So for example, if we wanted to have an object like this person object here created, well, rather than doing the literal syntax, which is this kind of opening it up with the curly brackets here and here, we can actually create a function that does this for us. So we can create a function that will create person objects or people and fill in these properties based on the inputs to the function. So these properties here, like the name and the profession. I'm not a NASA engineer, by the way. This is just a dream. If I but this is basically the inputs that you can use in the constructor, and then it gets automatically filled into these properties here. So let's say we want to find out the name of a person here. So we could go this person object dot name, and that will print out, if we console log that, we should see the name of that person. So here we go, the name Nathan is what's printed out there. So that's that name Nathan there. Now let's create a function that will actually create people like this. So imagine if we wanted to create more than one person. We didn't want to just create Nathan here. We wanted to create Nathan and Bob and Sandra and you know, a whole list of people. To do every single one using the literal syntax like this, it would be a lot of work. So what we do is we create a function, and this function is called a constructor. And this is an important difference between normal functions and constructor functions, is we have a capital P or a capital letter for the starting the first character of the function. So let's create a function called person, and this is now a constructor function. So this function can be called to create a new person. So we could say var person1. Actually, let's make this person2 and make this one person1. Person2 equals a new, and then we call this constructor function. So we're going to create a new person in this case. So a new person, and we haven't got any inputs at the moment to the function, so the function is pretty empty. It's a pretty boring function, but we've got nothing in the inputs here, so we put nothing here, and that now creates a new empty object, which is going to be generated by this person function. So that new keyword basically creates an empty object. It creates just an object like that, similar to this, but we haven't filled in these values yet. So that's what we're going to do next. So to fill in some of these, attributes of the method, attributes of the object, we're going to use this kind of syntax here. So we go this dot, and then we'll write name equals. We'll write let's write name. So we input a name into our function, and then this, which is referring to, in this case, our person2 object. So person2 object creates an empty object, a new empty set of brackets, and then we add a name. So this is referring to the empty set of brackets, and we add a name to that empty set of brackets. So that name is whatever we put into the function here. So the dot function there takes a name, it saves that name into this name attribute on the empty thing. So this is essentially the same as creating an object called obj, and it's just empty like that. And then what we've just gone, if we've got obj, and we've just gone added a name attribute, and then we can set that to whatever we want. So if we were to do the same thing here, we'd write Barry there, and now this Barry will go into the function when it's called. So this person function runs. Person function runs with the name Barry as an input. Barry goes there, and then this object gets a name attribute that gets added to it. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. That was kind of a bit of an aside, but that's essentially what we're doing, is creating an empty object, and then when we say this, we're talking about the empty object that we've just created, and then we can kind of use this dot name to attach things to the empty object. So this is essentially a function which does these two steps at the moment. So I'll put these two steps away because we've got our function to do those for us. And then say we also want to put in our profession, so we can put in this dot profession. So we're adding a profession attribute here. So this will take in not just a name, but a profession as well. So equals prof. So these could be these don't have to be named the same as these. They only have to be named the same as this one here. So this one here has to be the same as name, and this one here and this one here have to be the same names. But these attributes can be named whatever you want to call them. So let's actually call this, let's go first name, or yeah, let's go first name. So first name, and then that means that this one has to be first name here. And so you get the idea. So that there and that then there. So then let's finally add a method as well. So in this one we've got a method. So let's do the same. We have this dot say hello, and this will be equal to same as above, a new function, and this new function is just going to console.log, which will just print to the console the string hello with an exclamation mark. So let's finish that off. So now this is a function which creates objects that look exactly like this. They have names, which is given to us by this attribute here. We have professions, which are profs, which are they get added to the new objects that get created down like this one here, and we just keep adding things to it by doing this kind of this dot syntax. So now let's test this out. So we've created a new person. We've given them a name, a first name Barry, and we'll have to give them a profession. So what can we do? So we'll say Barry's a nurse, and then we go down here, and we should be able to now use person 2, and this will be Barry. So this is Barry, who's a nurse. So we can now go person2.name, and we should be able to get Barry's first name. So or whatever name we put in here, which should be Barry. So let's see if that works. So we run the code, and we get Nathan. So that's obviously not right. So we may have to actually save this before we run it. There we go. Okay, so once we saved it, we get Barry. So now let's see if the object that we created here, this new person, this person 2, which is Barry. Let's see if we can get Barry's profession. So we'll try prof. So remember to save this time. Run it again, and we get nurse. So that's correct. So we've got Barry, who is a nurse, and we can even run these methods which we've given to Barry. So we can run the say hello method. So we just run that, and we don't need the console log this time because I've actually put a console log in here. So that's going to do the printing to the console. So we can just run the function without using a console log, and it will run this console log. And so if I save this one and run it, we should see what should we see come out? We should see hello come out from that function there. So let's try it, and there we go. So person 1 and person 2 act exactly the same way, but person 2 has been created using this constructor syntax. So this is what a constructor is in JavaScript. It's basically a function. Make sure we have a capital letter for the beginning of the name of the function, and that lets you just differentiate between constructors and everyday functions and methods, and that's what happens. So we automatically create objects based on the blueprint here, the function that constructs the object for us. So it does it automatically, which means now we can create, a whole lot of different people. We can go person 3 and 4, and we can give them different names. And Larry here. So 3 nurses, Barry, Harry, and Larry, and it's very quick and very easy. So we don't actually have to type out a huge, object literal for each of our people here. We can just write this really nice, neat syntax, which is a really quick and nice, simple way to go about writing and creating objects.